Welcome back everyone to another episode of Vegetarian Cooking with JJ. In this video I'm going to show you how you can make another recipe using jackfruit. I'm sure you got hooked on it from the last recipe if you weren't already familiar with it. So I'm just showing you how much you can actually do with jackfruit. Jackfruit is actually the national fruit of Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, and also a state fruit in certain states of India as well. The jack tree is a species in the mulberry, fig, and breadfruit family, and jackfruit is cultivated in many tropical areas throughout the world. It can grow 50 to 70 feet, and the trunk is about 12 to 30 inches in diameter. It is also an evergreen tree, believe it or not, but it's not like the evergreen trees that we're familiar with here in Toronto. Rather than having the pointy pine needles, it actually has thick, leathery, gummy, oval-shaped leaves, believe it or not. Sometimes this tree forms buttress roots. It's not what you're thinking, you silly people. Buttress roots are actually roots that you can see above the surface, so they're more pronounced above the surface, and actually it helps the tree stay upright. And these roots can even intermingle and intertwine with adjacent trees, and that further creates a type of tension band, if you will, to further help keep the tree supported. This is often the case in shallow grounds, and also the nutrients are along the surface of the soil in this case. If you have never seen a real-life jackfruit, then the can may deceive you as to the size. They can actually grow quite large. They can grow 2 feet in length and actually weigh 40 pounds. You thought all your groceries are heavy. That's just one item there. This is a delicious vegan brisket and meal we're going to be making today. Let's head over to the kitchen and get cooking. Here I have drained our jackfruit. I'm chopping up our onion. I don't want it too big or too small, just right. Now I'm simply chopping up the garlic. Now I'm cutting off the stems of our Cremini mushrooms and slicing them up. You'll want to preheat the oven to 350. Get an element heated to medium. And we're going to get some oil in our pan and get it nice and hot. Toss in our onions. Toss in our mushrooms and garlic. I'm adding a half cup of veggie stock to our bowl here. And I'm going to add some carbonated mineral water, a half a cup. This will help change the texture. And just deglaze our pan here. Give it a nice stir. I'm adding in 1 cup of Vital Wheat gluten flour, another cup of Vital Wheat gluten flour, our drained jackfruit, and half a block of tofu. Just crumble it in. I've added 1 teaspoon of cumin. Now I'm going to add a total of 3 teaspoons of our Italian seasoning. And some dried thyme as well. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. some ground pepper, and smoked paprika. 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, some salt, now we'll just blend it all up. Here I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of our liquid smoke. Touch more. Some soy sauce, a couple of tablespoons about, and some maple syrup. About a tablespoon. And gochujang sauce, a teaspoon. Mix it up. And a teaspoon of miso paste, a heaping teaspoon. We'll give it a mix. Now it's time to dump out our Vital Wheat gluten mixture here with our jackfruit and all the rest of it. Pour on our sauce, and we'll mix it and knead it, pull it apart. Now I'm adding some veggie stock to our Dutch oven. Placing in our seitan, vegan brisket, and coating it with some barbecue sauce. And pour on our mushroom gravy mixture. And we'll put it in the oven for the first hour. You'll want to keep replenishing the sauce throughout this process. In addition to replenishing the sauce, it's good to flip it as well. I'm gonna add a half a cup of red wine here. And a full cup of veggie stock. I'm just going to bake some potatoes as well, so I'm going to pierce them. Why is it so important to pierce them? Well, they could explode. It may not always happen, but it's better to be safe than sorry. You don't have to overdo it, just a few piercings are fine. I'm just going to gently brush them with oil. You don't have to overdo it. Now, what I learned is about baked potatoes is you don't need to use foil, and foil actually steams the potato more so. So if you want the outer layer to be more crispy, then you can do it this way. And I'll just sprinkle some salt on. Some pepper, and we'll put them in the oven for about an hour or so. We'll see how they're doing in an hour's time, and we're going to add the carrots in a little bit later. And carrots only need about 40 minutes or so. Here are the carrots that I washed, cut, and I dried. And I only peeled certain parts of the carrots that I wasn't too fond of. I wanted to keep most of the skin on. These are organic anyway, so I'm gonna coat them with some oil. I'm gonna use the Greek Town Spice Blend. Make a bit of mix up here. Later on, near the end, I plan on adding some maple syrup for a little bit of a maple glaze. I have the timer set on the stovetop, so I set it for an hour. And once it gets down to about the 45 or 40 minute mark, depends on my mood at the time, I'll throw in the carrots with the potatoes. Boil a medium pot of water for our rapini. We'll cook it for a few minutes until it gets a little soft. I'm now draining it and plunging it into our ice water bath. Turning on our heat to medium, get our pan nice and hot, add some oil, garlic. I'm adding our blanched rapini. Now it's time to add our maple syrup for our maple glazed carrots. Brush it around nicely. And put the lemon juice on top. Sprinkle a little bit of chilies. I'm gonna put this vegan feta on top. Plant ahead. Wrong way. Just for the flavor. You're chewing fast. That should be a part of a circus act.
So how
does
this compare to a regular brisket?
It was really close. And very delicious too.